authors, it's me, Melody. Welcome to Author Nation, your go-to resource for everything you need to become a successful nonfiction author, from planning right through to promotion. And in today's video, I'm going to be summarizing Handling the Truth by Beth Kephart. Handling the Truth is broken down into 4 parts and has an amazing appendix. Part 1 is all about what is and what is not a memoir. I love that she says memoir is not about the author and that author winning something or, gaining something or, gaining something at the expense of someone else, I should say, or like winning a war or accusing. It's about exploration of her own darkness and her own light, an exploration of self, other, life. I love the question she gives her students, and I'm quoting, "What do you expect of others as you read, and what do you expect of yourself as a writer?" Such a good question, and I think maybe that's a great question for everyone who wants to write, to sit down and answer. What do you expect as a reader? And then become that writer. The chapter Great Expectations is samples of answers from her students when she posed that question. Do you want to know what your readers want? Read those. To end this section, Kephart warns us that writing memoir is not about interrupting and throwing others into chaos or upheaval. People who did not ask for their life to be made public and may never wanted their vulnerabilities shown. Beware. Part 2 is the bulk of the book, and it helps memoirists gather the raw materials. Of course, keep a journal. That's her very first suggestion. And when you write, go back and read and be curious about yourself. Be curious about that person who wrote that. Be thoughtful about what tense you're using. Of course, when we write memoir, usually we're talking about the things in the past, but present and future tense and just playing with tenses can really help the reader get a space or get their place in time, and also give essence to the book. So be thoughtful with tense and of course with pronouns as well. She suggests taking photos, looking at old photos, and when you look at the photos, don't just look at the forefront, the subject. Look behind it. What's going on behind it? What does the behind the scenes tell you about the time, the place, the context, the culture, the people in the photograph? There's a lot of information behind the forefront of a photograph. Use that. She goes on to discuss the power of context through weather. Like, what was the weather when whatever happened? And also landscape, right? The landscape can set the mood, give context, be used as metaphor. What was the landscape? I love her section on using song, not only to play music as you're writing so that you can kind of use that music to inspire you, but also using music of a certain time, of a certain period, of a certain culture, of that past you to bring things to the forefront. She also spent some time talking about dialogue, which is tricky in memoir because, we don't remember exactly what was said, but dialogue can be really powerful. But readers want the closest approximation of truth that you can get to. So she suggests using dialogue sparingly. And if you can, present it to the person who is part of that dialogue to see how truthful it is in their eyes. Like landscape and weather, what we eat can really say a lot about us. And it also brings the senses into it, right? The smell of food, the taste of food, what was going on around food. Food can be a really important part of who we are. And so explore that. Explore food as part of your memoir. I love the section on emptying your pockets. Empty your pockets. What's inside? What's there might be essential to you but mean nothing to another person. That goes the same with the things around our house, the things we own, the things that belong to us, things that are treasures to us and have meaning to us that another person may pick up and go, garbage, or what do you want this for? What do those say about you? What place do they hold in your heart, and how are they part of who you are? And then of course she's talking about details and using the right details to paint the picture you want to paint for your readers, giving context, emotions, pain, joy. And she closes this section by warning her readers. that our memories are faulty. And for that reason, we should do our research, images, talking to other people, interviews, reading old journals, photos, newspapers, whatever you can, Google Maps, whatever you can use to bring the truth to the forefront. And as you're doing that, remain vulnerable. In part 3, she asks, how does my story bring me closer to us? And that's the essence of memoir. That's what memoir is about. It's not about, here's a story, this is what happened, and then A happened, and then B happened, and then C happened. It's not about a linear path. It's an exploration. Memoir is an exploration of humanity, of humanness, of emotions, of pain, of joy. And they're about theme. They're about heartbreak. They're about resilience. They're about coming of age. They're about love during war. They're about letting go. Memoir is more than telling a story. It's not a linear path. It's an exploration of self, the world, others. It's about theme. It's about love. Love during war. It's about letting go. It's about holding on. It's about feeling unwanted and learning to want yourself. Memoir is theme, not just a linear story. A happened, then B happened, then C happened, then D happened, blah, blah, blah. Those she calls pseudo-memoirs. Memoirs aren't about what happened. They're about the experiences. Finally, in part 4, she tells us that as memoirists, our readers trust us. And they trust us to not leave them alone or abandon them or to lie to them, to fake it, that we need to be authentic, to not fictionalize. Because if you fictionalize your story, go ahead, do it, but don't call it a memoir. Don't pretend your story is airtight. And holding that, remember that empathy is essential. Your job is not to win. Your job is not to remove the dignity of an enemy. It is not to thrash someone, to question them and point fingers at them. It's to question life. It is to explore. It's to build a new world and to invite your readers in. Finally, she reminds us to seek beauty, suggests we start off with an exercise, just writing down our very first memory, our earliest memory of childhood. And she reminds us, as we write, to seek beauty. That's it. Read it for yourself. While you read the book, do the exercises. Allow them to inform you as a memoirist. Enjoy it. There is a link to the book in the description if you'd like to get it for yourself. Thank you for listening. Please give this video a thumbs up if it was useful. Leave me a comment or a question. I'd love to hear from you. And if you'd like to hear more, subscribe.